If you paid $40,000 cash for a car in retirement, you may have destroyed over $100,000, and most people never realize it until years later. It's 3 a.m. You're staring at the ceiling, replaying that one moment. No payment, no debt. You drove off the lot feeling responsible. And then the doubt hits. Did I just buy a car, or did I shorten my retirement? Here's the uncomfortable truth. In retirement, safe is not a feeling. Safe is a system. Safe is having cash flow, flexibility, and enough margin for error that a surprise expense doesn't turn into a panic decision. Most people treat a car like a simple purchase. Pay cash, be done. But retirement doesn't reward being done. Retirement rewards keeping your money working, because your working years are over. Your portfolio has to do the heavy lifting now. This is why this topic matters. A car is not just a car in retirement. It's a liquidity decision. It's a compounding decision. It's a timeline decision. In this video, I'm going to walk you through 3 things in a simple, usable way. First, the one number that shows what a $40,000 cash car really costs. Second, why dealerships often prefer you say cash, even though you think it gives you leverage. Third, the step-by-step playbook that protects your retirement cushion while still getting you the car you need. And let me be clear about authority. I'm not talking theory. I've watched retirees do everything right for decades, save, invest, stay disciplined, then make one clean cash decision and spend the next few years feeling squeezed and confused why their money suddenly feels smaller. So don't treat this as car advice. Treat it as retirement survival. Because if you get this wrong, it won't hurt today. It hurts later, when you have fewer options and every mistake costs more than it used to.
Picture a split screen. On the left, your retirement account quietly compounding. On the right, a brand new car losing value the moment it leaves the lot. One grows, one shrinks. Paying cash swaps the growing engine for the shrinking asset. Here's the one number that matters. $40,000 invested can become about $155,000 over 20 years at a 7% long-term average. So paying $40,000 cash can cost you roughly $115,000. That's the real price tag, not the sticker price, the future value you gave up. And this is where it gets uncomfortable, because opportunity cost doesn't show up on a receipt. You don't get a line item that says lost compounding. You just feel the relief of no payment. But relief is not the same thing as security. In your working years, big cash purchases were easier to recover from because your income was still coming in. In retirement, your income engine is your portfolio. When you pull a large chunk out, you don't just reduce the balance, you reduce the future growth potential of the entire plan. This is especially dangerous early in retirement. If you shrink your portfolio base early, you put more pressure on the remaining money to perform. And when markets are down, the temptation is to withdraw more, which creates a cycle that can be hard to reverse. This is why a paid-off car can be one of the most expensive feelings in retirement. It looks clean in your monthly budget, but it can quietly increase long-term risk. I'm not saying never buy a car. I'm saying stop treating cash like a default badge of responsibility. In retirement, responsibility is keeping your compounding engine alive. Because the same car can be a manageable expense or a 6-figure opportunity cost, depending on how you pay for it.
Now picture the moment you create the cash. You sell investments, your checking account suddenly looks huge, and you feel safe for about 10 minutes. Then you buy the car, and that safety cushion disappears in one swipe. Here's the number to remember. To net $40,000 in cash, many retirees end up selling closer to $48,000. Why? Taxes. If the money is coming from liquidating investments that have gains, you may trigger capital gains tax. The exact amount depends on your cost basis and your tax situation, but the point is simple. The cash price often forces a bigger liquidation than people expect. And now the real retirement problem begins, because this isn't just about math, it's about decision-making. After you drain the cushion, normal life starts feeling like a threat. A water heater fails, dental work shows up, a medical out-of-pocket bill hits, your kid calls and needs help for a month or two. None of these are rare, they're normal. But when your margin is gone, normal problems turn into stressful decisions. This is where retirees start using expensive tools, credit cards, high-interest debt, home equity loans, or withdrawals from retirement accounts at the worst possible times. And every withdrawal creates a shadow, more taxes, less future growth, and a smaller base trying to fund the same lifestyle. That's why people say, "I don't know why I feel tighter this year." It often traces back to one or two big cash moves that quietly removed flexibility. If you remember one thing from this part, remember this. Retirement problems rarely arrive one at a time. Liquidity is what keeps small problems from becoming financial emergencies. A paid-off car doesn't protect you from surprises. A cushion does.
This is the mistake people make when they enter retirement. They treat all debt like it's automatically dangerous, even when the numbers and the cash flow reality say otherwise. Here's the one number that matters. If you can borrow at 4%, while your money can reasonably earn around 7% long-term, you're looking at roughly a 3% spread. That spread is the entire strategy. Now, a reality check. Returns aren't guaranteed, and markets don't move in straight lines. But retirement planning isn't about predicting next year. It's about building a system that survives decades, and protecting liquidity is a huge part of that system. Most retirees were trained to think a car payment is throwing money away. But the bigger question is, what are you throwing away by pulling compounding money out of your account? In retirement, predictable can be safer than payment-free. A predictable payment that you can comfortably afford is often less risky than draining a large chunk of liquidity, because liquidity prevents panic moves later. This is also where emotions hijack people. Many retirees choose cash not because it's mathematically superior, but because it feels clean. It feels like control. But in retirement, control doesn't come from having no payments. Control comes from having options. Options are what protect you during a down market. Options are what let you handle a surprise medical bill without wrecking your plan. Options are what keep you from making withdrawals at the worst time. So don't make this a moral argument about debt. Make it a retirement argument about risk management. If the rate is low, the payment is easily covered, and your cushion stays intact, financing can be the safer move because it keeps your compounding engine working while you keep flexibility in reserve.
Now, let's talk about the part most retirees misunderstand, the dealership game. Picture the dealership like a stage. The negotiating on the showroom floor is the performance. The real profit often happens in the back office after you think the deal is done. Here's the number to remember. Dealerships often make around $2,000 to $3,000 per car in the finance and insurance office. That's why walking in and proudly announcing, "I'm paying cash," can backfire. It can make you less profitable to the dealer. And when you're less profitable, they protect profit somewhere else. Most buyers assume the dealership's profit is mainly in the car price. Some of it is, but a major profit center is financing-related revenue, warranties, add-ons, and fees. So when you remove financing from the equation, you remove a large chunk of what makes the deal attractive to them. What happens next is predictable. The dealership becomes less flexible on price, more aggressive on add-ons, or suddenly can't move as much as you expected. Not because they're evil, because the transaction still has to make business sense for them. This is why the old advice, "cash gives you leverage," can be outdated. In many cases, the buyer who finances is treated like the better customer, because that customer represents more total profit.
Important, this doesn't mean you accept a bad loan. It means you negotiate from a position of strength and you control the terms. It also means you stop thinking of financing as being tricked and start thinking of it as a tool you can use strategically. If you understand where the dealer makes money, you stop negotiating like a victim. You negotiate like a buyer with a plan.
Here's the playbook. No gimmicks, no confusion, just sequence. First, the key threshold. If you can finance around 4% or lower, paying cash is usually the riskier retirement move. Step 1. Get pre-approved from your bank or credit union before you shop. You need a real baseline rate so you're not negotiating blind. Step 2. Negotiate the out-the-door price first, not the monthly payment. Monthly payment talk is where extra profit hides because they can stretch the term, shift the rate, and bundle add-ons while making the payment look manageable. Step 3. Don't volunteer "I'm paying cash" up front. You want the leverage of being treated like a finance customer while you lock in the best total price. Step 4. In the finance office, slow down. Every add-on is optional until proven otherwise. Ask what it covers, what it costs, and whether it overlaps coverage you already have. If you want protection, great, but make them justify it. Step 5. Read the contract for origination fees and prepayment penalties. Verify, don't assume. Many auto loans have no prepayment penalty, but you confirm it every time. Now the strategy choice. If the rate is low and the payment is easily affordable, keeping your investments intact can protect liquidity and keep compounding alive. If you emotionally can't stand debt, you can finance to secure the best deal and then pay it off later, only after you've confirmed the contract terms. The goal isn't to love debt. The goal is to stay retired with options.
Picture a line of dominoes. The first domino isn't a crisis. It's a responsible cash purchase. Here's the core truth. A paid-off car isn't financial security. Margin for error is. When you drain $40,000 to $50,000 of liquidity for a depreciating asset, you remove your shock absorber. Then real life shows up. Home repairs, medical out-of-pocket costs, dental work, helping family, insurance surprises, normal stuff. But without breathing room, normal problems turn into expensive decisions. Credit cards, high-interest debt, larger withdrawals from retirement accounts, and every withdrawal has a shadow, taxes, lost growth, and a smaller base trying to fund the same life. That's the cascade. One big cash move creates scarcity. Scarcity creates stress. Stress creates bad decisions. Bad decisions shorten retirement. This is how someone who saved for decades ends up saying, "Why do I feel broke?" Not because they bought a car, because they bought it in a way that killed their options. So before you pay cash for a car in retirement, ask 3 questions. What growth am I giving up? What does my emergency cushion look like after this? And what rate can I realistically finance at? If you can't answer all 3, don't make a permanent decision in a high-pressure environment. Retirement isn't about being debt-free. It's about being options-rich. If this helped, subscribe for more retirement math that protects your timeline, and comment "car" if you want a follow-up video where I break down the best retirement car budget and what affordable actually means after taxes.